and one reason only, help you win your NFL bets. This is the first of what will be many sports gambling advice and pick tips show right here on Fancred. I am Bill Enright. With me, this handsome guy is Kerry Byrne.
How you doing, brother?
Of ColdHardFootballFacts.com, a site that Adam Schefter says does a great job, and the Wall Street Journal credits to having excellent cutting-edge analysis. And trust me when I say you want that cutting-edge analysis, and you can do so by going to ColdHardFootballFacts.com. That is exactly what you will need to win your bets. It's betting made easy thanks to the Cold Hard Football Facts quality stats. You can get your season pass to ColdHardFootballFacts.com right now, $39.99. It's less than $5 a week. We go all the way through the NFL Super Bowl, and once you see the quality stats, you'll be amazed on how easy it is to identify who will win and lose football games. Kerry, you've been at this for over about 15 years. Tell everyone that doesn't already know about the quality stats at Cold Hard.
You know, basically what we do, Bill, we look at the stats that win and lose games. It's simple as that. We have 22 quality stats. And, you know, a lot of what you hear out there, Bill, people talk about yards after catch and this stat and that stat. A lot of it's white noise. A lot of it doesn't matter. A lot of it doesn't correlate to victory on the football field. Compounded with, you know, this fantasy football culture we have where everybody looks at individual fantasy stats, it really creates a kind of a lot of misunderstanding of what wins and loses NFL games. So what we've done now for over a decade, 15 years now, look only at those stats that correlate directly to wins on the field. It allows us to, one, really be ahead of every statistical trend, know who the true contenders are in football, eliminate the kind of noise surrounding individual players because individual players don't win games. Team efficiency wins games. And, you know, and then we kind of, you know, and it's allowed us to pick winners and losers, not only straight up, but against the spread with remarkable success over the years, Bill. When you know what stats to look at, you'll be a smarter football fan, and you'll be better able to pick winners and losers each Sunday.
There are over 20 quality stats on ColdHardFootballFacts.com. We are going to discuss a few of them every week right here on this show on Fancred. Again, this is just one of many sports gambling and advice shows that we're going to have on our awesome app. So thanks for joining us today. You can ask us a question via the fan line. Hit the fan line button on the top right-hand side of the screen, and you can join us via the fan line. You can call into the show, or you can just leave a comment in the comment section, and our producer will send them over to us. Kerry, I just want to touch on one thing before we dive into some of these stats. I always liked your tagline that your facts beat up people's opinions. So when you're looking at some of these games, you break them down into a stat-based kind of a table or a graph, and you're not betting with your heart, you're betting with your head.
Yeah, well, the line is our facts can beat up your opinions, right? And the reality is most of what you see on TV, see on the talk shows, hear on sports radio, it's just another guy, no different than me or you. This is his opinion on what's going to happen today, or, you know, this is what's going to happen with this player, that player. We don't tell you what I think or what anyone else thinks, Bill. We tell you what the numbers are telling us, regardless of our opinion. When you learn to put faith in the numbers, to put faith in the stats, to put faith in the cold hard football facts, you will be a smarter football fan. You will start to, you know, your opinion, really, we all have an opinion on how things got to unfold, but so much what we do with analysis in the NFL is with our eye test. But the eye test can be deceiving, you know. Ask any judge or cop or attorney, you know, what they think about people's, you know, recollection with their eyes. We look only at the stats. We don't tell you what we think. You will never hear on ColdHardFootballFacts.com what I think or what any of our other contributors think. You'll only hear what the numbers are telling us. Trust the numbers. The numbers exist for a reason. The numbers are just basically a kind of a tell us what's happened on the football field in a very easy to understand, easy to decipher term. The numbers represent what's happened on the football field better than our eyes, better than our recollection.
All right, so let's get into some of the stats for Week 14 in the NFL. The New England Patriots are taking on the Miami Dolphins. It's in Miami. The Pats, one of the most dominant teams the last 2 decades, really, the last 20 years in the NFL. But for some reason, Kerry, they are still being undervalued by the Vegas line makers or the bookies or whoever want to say.
And more importantly, undervalued by fans, Bill. That's really, the line represents fan opinion, right? It represents how we value each team. This is one of the more remarkable statistical stories in the history of the NFL, Bill, okay? The Patriots have been the dominant team in football for 18 years, right? They've won more often with more frequency than any team in the history of football. They've been to 7 straight conference title games. They're led by the greatest, who's widely perceived, Tom Brady, widely perceived as the greatest quarterback of all time, by a coach widely perceived as the greatest coach of all time. Yet they are still undervalued. And how do we know this? Because they're 32-12 against the spread since 2016. They're winning almost 75% of all games against the spread over 3 seasons, Bill. This has probably never happened in the history of football. And we have a whole article, if you sign up for Cold Hard Football Facts, we have a whole article today looking at this phenomenon, why it's happening, why fans continue to undervalue the Patriots. And the biggest reason, Bill, I believe, there's a couple reasons, but too many fans, you mentioned it earlier, bet with their heart, not with their heads. They really do. And again, we only look at the numbers. What happens is people around the country, they don't like the Patriots. You're a Giants fan, right? You don't like the Patriots, Bill, do you? You know, by the way, I have my Cowboys hat on just for you today. You know, I just wanted to pay a little tribute to
wearing a Cowboys hat?
To the NFC East here, you know.
That crap team's going to win the NFC East. It's unbelievable.
Anyway, we'll talk about the Cowboys in a second, by the way. The fact of the matter is people are betting with their hearts, not their heads. You talk to any bettor, and they all talk a big game. Oh, yeah, I got my own system. I got this, I got that. But the majority of people wagering on NFL games are betting with their hearts and not with their head. And the reason we know, because the Patriots have won nearly 75% of their games against the spread over the course of 3 years. To put that in perspective, their 32-12 record against the spread since 2016 is better than the straight-up record of any other team in football.
Wow.
Only the Patriots have a better record straight up than the Patriots have against the spread over the last 3 years. I don't know if this has ever happened in the history of football. And what it tells us is that fans around the country, they know the Patriots are going to win, but they're not betting on them. They're betting against them. They're lowering expectations. They're driving down the line, making it easier for the Patriots to cover. The Patriots are the most, believe it or not, despite all the success, are the most undervalued team in football. And it's mind-boggling. So if you look, you may not like the Patriots, but you may bet against them because you hate them. You just can't stomach the Patriots, but they're winning you money week after week if you're betting money on them. It's a remarkable phenomenon.
Here's the numbers against the spread for the Pats the last 3 years. In 2016, they were 13-3 against the number. 2017, 11-5, and here we are in 2018. They are 8-4 against the spread, as you mentioned. One of the best teams this year against the number, and they're playing a Dolphins team in that AFC East. The Patriots are 3-0 against the spread against divisional opponents. They are -8 this week. Kerry, they have a big statistical advantage in a lot of your categories. Let's talk about a few of them.
Yeah, well, the Patriots are obviously a much better team than Miami and have been for a long time. The outlier issue here is that the Patriots historically have struggled in Miami, as going back decades, and even the Tom Brady Patriots have been no exception. But the Patriots right now, of our 24 quality stats are better, 23 quality stats are better in 21 of them, and in a lot of cases, remarkably better. Yeah. We can go up and down the board here. And by the way, if you sign up for Cold Hard Football Facts, you get all these stats, you get these game tables, these comparisons, and every single indicator. And the only thing the Dolphins are better than the Patriots at on the defensive hog index, they're slightly better on the defensive front. The Dolphins ranked 20th, the Patriots ranked 21st. They've actually allowed fewer total teams allowed. Total teams allowed is a real unique indicator we have, Bill. We don't just look at how many yards you allow to an opposing offense. How many return yards do you allow? How many return yards do you allow on turnovers? We look at every single total yard because most analysts don't look at the total picture. They're only looking at offense and defense in a vacuum. We look at total team yards allowed to get a true picture of, those special teams. If you have poor special teams, that impacts the total yardage of your opponents and makes it easier for them to score points, harder for you to stop them. So that's one of the stats we look at. The Dolphins are actually a little slightly better than the Patriots in that indicator. But other than that, the Patriots are just, just dominant up and down the board here. So I'm trying to think where the kind of the top highlight is. Real quarterback rating differential. We look at all phases of quarterbacking, and the Patriots are number 8, the Dolphins are number 20. That's really probably of all our statistics and how they correlate to victory. real quarterback rating differential, correlates to victory more than any other stat in football. Teams who win that statistical battle win about 90% of all NFL games, Bill.
One of the biggest disparities is quality standings, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The Patriots are your number one team in terms of quality standings. That means they have the most wins against teams with a winning record. The Pats are number one. The Dolphins are number 15 in that category. So Dolphins do not do very well against teams that have a winning record. Again, We'll touch on that in just a little bit. And again, if you want to check out these stats, you can actually get a free trial, which I always like to do. You dip your toe in the water a little bit, get something for free without, putting any money down. You check them out. It's week 14 in the NFL. We're giving you some really good tips about how to win money this week in the NFL. Go to coldhardfootballfacts.com. Check out the free trial, 7-day free trial, or just sign up for $40, and we go all the way through the NFL Super Bowl. That's like 8 or 9 weeks of NFL action. I think I'm not good at math, but that's like less than $5 a week, Harry. So you can either do the free trial, you can sign up for $40. I think the $40 season pass is a no-brainer. Well, let's stay on the Patriots for just a little bit, and then we'll transition into another game. You mentioned that the Dolphins are good at home. They're actually against the Pats. The Dolphins seem to have the Patriots number. They're actually 5-1 against the spread this year at home. So Miami's doing something right. Either Vegas is not giving them enough credit at home, or the fan base is driving down the line. But the Pats are -8 this week, Kerry. Which way would you have to pick?
Well, listen, we just talked about how let's put it this way: if I'm betting in the NFL, I am probably riding the Patriots every game, every week, dude. That number doesn't lie. Almost 75% against the spread over 3 seasons, including 8-4 this year. I'm rolling with them until the numbers tell me otherwise, man. They're the smartest bet in all of sports. They do have trouble down there. If this is a game you're going to sit it out. But that number doesn't lie, Bill. We're talking one of the greatest statistical phenomenons in the history of football, that the greatest victory machine in NFL history is also the most undervalued betting play. So I'm riding the Patriots until I get burnt.
And fans outside of New England, instead of just like sitting back and like watching greatness, they'd rather hate on them, want to see them lose, and then by doing that, they bet against the Pats, and then they end up losing money.
They do, and that's really, it comes down to psychology, Bill. It really is. And remember that number. This is something I think a lot of people think the number is kind of an accurate reflection, that the line is an accurate reflection of the quality of two teams. No, it's an accurate reflection of what people think of the two teams. Okay. And what they're what they're willing to roll with, and that psychology affects it. The people. This is what we wrote. I'll read off our lead article right now at Cold Hard Football Facts. Football fans nationally are sick of the Patriots. They hate the Patriots. Bill Belichick is vilified. Tom Brady's despised. Yep. Every survey proves that the Patriots are the NFL's most hated team coast to coast. Fans who despise New England and all its success simply can't get themselves to wager on the Patriots. In fact, they wager against the Patriots. This drives down the point spread and makes it easier for the Patriots to beat expectations, which they do with alarming regularity. By the way, we talked about the Cowboys a minute ago. They represent the opposite of this phenomenon. The Cowboys are easily the most popular team in football, and I know that hurts being a Giants fan, but they are. If you look at these broadcast maps, you see all the time the Cowboys are always on nationally. They're just a beloved team. They are most popular team in football and have been for 40 years.
The Saints-Cowboys game was the most watched Thursday night game in history this past week. Yeah,
and also in a great game for the Cowboys. Also, as much as they are loved, they're also historically the worst bet in football. Why? Because people love the Cowboys and say, hey, I'm going to bet on my favorite team. And smart bettors don't, but a lot of people do. And these people, they're making a mistake. They're making a mistake. The Cowboys, as much as you love them, people want to support their team. They support their team with their money, and it drives up the point spread. And conversely, with the Patriots, makes it harder for the Cowboys to meet expectations. They're historically the worst bet in the NFL.
The Cowboys are 7-5 against the number this year.
Not bad this year, but again, this is going over the decades. Yeah.
Totally get it.
But even 7-5, you're on the edge. You know what I mean? It's not, and obviously the game that put them over the edge was the Thursday night game against the Saints when they shocked everyone and held New Orleans to 10 points. So
it's a pretty even matchup this week with the Cowboys and the Eagles. Your quality stat power rankings, the Cowboys are 14th and the Eagles are 17th. So they're kind of like right there in the middle of the NFL. Unfortunately, one of these teams are going to make the playoffs because one of them is going to win the NFC East, which is a real shame. But don't be surprised when they get knocked out of the first round. But let's transition over to something that I don't think people really think about at all when it comes to football, and that's being smart, right? You think of football as big, dumb jocks, but really the intelligent teams are the ones that are winning game. Kerry, let's talk about the intelligence index that people can find over at Cold Hard Football Facts.
Listen, if you want one stat that's going to make your life easier, it's the Cold Hard Football Facts Intelligence Index. And the simple truth is this, what we found over the years, smart teams win games and win money. Dumb teams lose games and lose money. It happens like clockwork, Bill. Every year, the smartest teams in football are usually the best bets in football, and the dumbest teams in football are the worst bets in football. Also the worst teams and the best teams. Basically, without getting too deep into the weeds, we look at efficiency in all phases of the game and compare how efficiently you score points and how inefficiently you make opponents when they're on offense. So we compare offensive and defensive efficiency, and the team with the widest gap is usually the most intelligent. They score points the most efficiently and make opponents work the hardest to score points. And it's actually spit out in a very easy to understand number, okay? But what we find, I'm going to run, this happens every year. We just went through this, okay? The 5 smartest teams in football, 1 through 5, the Saints, Seahawks, Bears, Chiefs, and Patriots, okay? They are not only 44-16 straight up, that's 733. They are 17-3 against the spread. They are winning 70% against the spread, Bill.
Let's go back and review those top 5 numbers.
Yep.
So who's number 1 on the intelligence?
New Orleans.
All right, they're 9-3 against the spread, the best number in the NFL this year,
and also the smartest team in football. This happens like clockwork, Bill. And I could do this with any week of any season, and it's almost always the same.
Who's number 2 on the intelligence index?
Seattle's number 2, 7-3-2 against the spread. So
they're number 5 against the spread this year, top 5.
Yeah. Surprise team of the year. We might talk a little bit about them in a little while, but the Chicago Bears, who have actually kind of built a pretty impressive statistical resume this year, quietly done it. If Trubisky's healthy, they have a shot to maybe make, surprise some people. But they're number 3 on the intelligence index and 8-4 against the spread. What's that?
8-4 against the spread. They're number 4 in the NFL. Where do the Pats rank?
Well, let's go to number 4 on the intelligence index, the Chiefs. 8-3-1 against the spread
in the NFL. 8-3-1.
Yep, and number 5. The Patriots. 8-4. These teams combined are 70% against the spread. The 5 smartest teams in football. This happens like clockwork.
Let's just break it down real simple. The top 5 teams on the intelligence index are also the top 5 teams against the spread.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yep. And it happens every year. Now, every now and then there'll be an outlier, but for the most part, I think last year the top 11 teams on the intelligence index all had winning records against the spread. And like the bottom 11 all had losing records. And then, so what you do, what we look for what we call a mental mismatch. And by the way, what this proves is that the NFL is a battle of brains over brawn. This isn't high school football where one team is bigger and faster than the other team and can just manhandle them. Every team in the NFL, if you go down the roster man to man, it's pretty much physically even, okay? You obviously quarterback plays a lot of teams with better quarterbacks. We all know have a distinct advantage, as been proven throughout history. But for the most part, teams are evenly matched physically. One team is not going to overpower another team in the NFL. That's why when some idiot says they got to establish a run and their dominance in the trenches, it's bullshit. It doesn't matter. That's not how the NFL works. It's not how games are won. Games are won by being smart, by being more efficient, by doing all the little things right, not committing turnovers, taking advantage of red zone opportunities, not committing penalties, doing all the little things right. That's what wins and loses NFL games, and that's what the intelligence index not only wins and loses games, wins and loses money, and that's what the intelligence index shows us. It shows us year after year. And by the way, for proof, I don't know if you want to do this, Bill. Let's look at the 5 dumbest teams in football.
Sure.
They're 28. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They are 5-6-1 against the spread.
Yeah, 5-7. Number having trouble doing my math here. 29. The Jaguars, the 29th dumbest team in football.
4-6-2. You don't want to bet on them.
Nope. The 49ers, 30th, the 3rd dumbest team in football.
Dead last against the spread. They're 3-9.
3-9. Dead last. The Raiders, 31st.
Bottom 5, 28th against the spread, 4-8.
4-8. And the Bills, 32nd dumbest team in football, 4-8 overall. It looks like 5-7 against the spread. So they're actually kind of an outlier because they're actually a little bit better against the spread. But again, let's look at the numbers. Overall, the 5 dumbest teams in football are 17-43 straight up, 28% straight up, and 21-36 against the spread, 37% against the spread. We see this every year. The 5 smartest teams in football win 2/3 or more games, win about 67% or better against the spread every year. And the 5 dumbest teams win about 33% against the spread or worse every year. It's almost the inverse every year. Works like clockwork. So what you want to look for, what we call mental mismatches, a smart team versus a dumb team. This is your best way every year to have every week to find winners against the spread. They work with remarkable efficiency.
Let's get into the mental mismatches for week number 14. And again, you can check out the intelligence index and all of the quality stats on coldhardfootballfacts.com. $40 for the next 8 weeks. It's dirt cheap, less than $5 a week. Or if you want to just test it out, 7-day free trial. Go check it out, coldhardfootballfacts.com.
And you'll get that intelligence index, Bill. They'll get that intelligence index every week. They'll know week after week who the smartest teams are, who the dumbest teams are, and they'll be able to find really quickly their best opportunities to make money when a smart team plays a dumb team.
Let's get to 2 of the biggest mental mismatches for week number 14. The Saints, we said it, they're number 1 on the intelligence index, and the Bucks are number 28, a bottom 5 team on the intelligence index. NFC South battle in Tampa Bay. New Orleans is -8 for this week.
Yep. And that's if I'm just looking at one number. And again, kind of the key to the cold hard football facts, putting your faith in those numbers. Don't put faith in what you think is going to happen. Trust those numbers. And we just show with the intelligence index, they work with clock-like regularity. We've managed to take the chaos of NFL football and make it work with almost clock-like regularity. I can't even say that, Bill. Clock-like regularity with clock-like precision. So this is easily the biggest mental mismatch of the week. This is a game I like more than any other. The Saints are also dominant up and down. If you look at our game comparison tables of all 23 quality stats, Saints are dominant in almost every single one. Now, just some of the highlights. They're number 1 in scoring efficiency. They're the most efficient scoring offense in football. The Buccaneers are 26, which means the Buccaneers chew up a lot of empty yards. They may have a lot of yards, but they don't turn them into points. The Saints score the equivalent of a point for every 11.4 yards of offense. That means they need about 78, 80 yards of offense to score the equivalent of a touchdown and an extra point. That's remarkable efficiency. One of the most efficient teams scoring we've seen in a long time. They're also the smartest team in football, as we just talked about. The Buccaneers are 28th. The Saints are number 1 in real quarterback rating. We've taken passer rating, which has an incredible correlation to victory. And we've made it even better by including all facets of the quarterback play, including rushing, including sacks. Has a direct correlation to scoring points, a direct correlation to winning football games. The Saints are number 1 in that indicator. The Buccaneers are 14th. But here's the big difference, okay? Defensive real quarterback rating, how you perform defensively against opposing quarterbacks. The Saints are number 1 offensively. The Buccaneers are 32nd and dead last in defensive real quarterback rating. Drew Brees is set up to have perhaps the greatest game of his career this week against the Buccaneers. So this to me is easily to me the game of the week.
Saints are coming off a loss about 10 days ago to the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. Buccaneers beat the Saints in week number 1. It was their only loss for up until this past week when they lost to the Cowboys. The other mental mismatch, and then we're going to jump over to the quality stat power rankings real quick, Carrie, is the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of people put a lot of faith in the Vikings, but when in terms of their intelligence, they're kind of dumb.
They're not a smart team, and we saw it last week when they lost to the Patriots. So, it's here. It's funny I'm here in Boston, as you know, and it seems that the sports yackers just can't help but bash the Patriots. I guess they just don't want to look like homers. But the reality is the Patriots, week after week are the best, smartest team in football, and they showed why against the Vikings. And the reality is the Vikings are not a particularly smart team. And that was a classic mental mismatch last week. A smart team, a smart, efficient team in the Patriots playing a dumb, inefficient team in the Vikings, and it worked like clockwork. In this case, Seattle, the number 2 team in football in team intelligence, and 7-3 against the spread with 2 pushes against the 23rd ranked Vikings. That right there is a great advantage for Seattle. Yep. And normally, by the way, Pete Carroll doesn't get enough credit for this, but his teams are normally well coached. What the intelligence index shows at the end of the day, who the smartest, most well coached teams in football are. Smart teams are well coached teams. And Seattle is usually, a fairly smart team. Again, this year, number 2. It helps having a very efficient quarterback. Russell Wilson's just been phenomenal his whole career. By the way, when you look at the right numbers, Bill, we said this. You can go back and look at our stuff on Cold Hard Football Facts, look at our stuff on Sports Illustrated, Russell Wilson's rookie year, Andrew Luck's rookie year. We said by week 8, Russell Wilson's a better quarterback than Andrew Luck and is going to have a better career. And everyone, the sports world laughed at us. Andrew Luck's the number 1 pick. Andrew Luck's got all the talent, but they didn't look at the right numbers. They were looking at prestige. They were looking at their pedigree. Oh, well, one was a 3rd round pick, one was the top guy coming out of the draft, and the reality is Russell Wilson's been a much better quarterback, and that he's a big reason why Seattle's been so successful.
Wilson's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them, had a little bit of a mini dynasty there. They lost to the Niners in the NFC Championship game. Could have been 3 Super Bowls. Yep. Andrew Luck hasn't even made the AFC Championship.
And obviously injuries have impacted him and stuff, but even when he was healthy, he had a low completion percentage, he had a high interception rate, a low passer rating, all the efficiency stats you need to look at that we look at week in and week out with our real quarterback rating and passer rating, defensive passer rating differential. He's been bad in those stats. He's been bad in the stats. Again, these stats are the stats that win and lose NFL games. Right. And Andrew Luck's been bad in those. My only point is when you look at the right numbers, you can see the writing on the wall long before anybody else. And we saw the writing on the wall for Russell Wilson, is halfway through his rookie year. And we have, you can go back and look at all these stories. But anyway, he's a big reason why Seattle's, one of the smartest teams in football this year. And this is not nearly as strong a play as Tampa Bay and New Orleans, but this is probably our second biggest mental mismatch. I'm not 100% sold on it like I am. I'm all in on Tampa and Tampa and New Orleans. I'm not all in on this game. But it's a very intriguing matchup, and one certainly come look at the intelligence index, look at all the other stats up and down the board, and see what you think, and make your own judgment. But this is a very intriguing game. I'll leave it at that.
Few minutes left in today's show. We want to get to some comments, which you can type in right in that comment section of the Fancred on-air app or on-air section, or you can jump on with us, hit the fan line on the top right-hand side of your screen. He is Kerry Byrne from ColdHardFootballFacts.com. Start your free trial today, 7-day free trial, or sign up for the season pass for just $39.95, less than $40, less than $5 a week. Go all the way through the NFL Super Bowl. We talked about the intelligence index. We talked about America and the public hating the Patriots and that, putting money in people's pockets. If you've been betting the Pats for the last, 3 years, have been top team against the spread. Let's now talk about quality stat power rankings, Carrie. These are teams that beat up on other good teams. One of those teams that are that quality stats power rankings are the Chicago Bears, and we actually have a question from James. Yep. He wants to know if the Bears are a legit Super Bowl contender.
Absolutely. They're the Bears are kind of dark horse right now. They are good in a lot of the stats that contenders are good at. This is absolutely. We wrote about it last week, even though they lost last week to the Giants. They lost on the road by 3, I think, with their backup quarterback. But overall, here's why the Bears are a contender. They're actually number 1 in our quality stats power rankings. They have few statistical weak links. They're number 3 in scoring efficiency. They're the 3rd smartest team in football. They're number 1 in defensive real quarterback rating, number 1 in defensive passer rating, which more than any other indicator on defense has a direct correlation to championship potential. This is quietly a dark horse Super Bowl candidate. Let's put it this way. They have the horses to shut down the great quarterbacks in the playoffs. Will they do it? I don't know, but they are definitely the dark horse team with the statistical profile right now of a Super Bowl champion.
And then the Chargers are tied with the Bears for number 1. The Chargers are 8th on the intelligence index, but in a lot of the other quality stat categories, they're up there, and I don't think they're getting a lot of respect. In fact, they're overshadowed in their own city.
I know. The Chargers have been kind of this is historically who they are, man. They you can go back to the 60s. They always have these great glitzy offenses and then these kind of porous defenses that never seem to come through. And it's been that way for decades. this team appears to be a little bit unique. This team appears to have some defensive capabilities. I'm just going through it right now, comparing them to the Bengals. And by the way, they're better than the Bengals in 20 of 23 quality stats. But we talked about we have a stat called passer rating differential, the mother of all stats, the highest correlation to championship potential of any stat in all of sports. About 40% of all NFL champions going back to the 40s, going back to the 30s, going back through the entire history of the NFL, were number one in passer rating differential, okay? And almost like 90% of champions are in the top 5, 90-something percent. The Chargers right now are number one in passer rating differential, which means if you compare their offensive efficiency at quarterback to how poorly their defense makes opposing quarterbacks play, they're the biggest spread in football. They are definitely a team to watch out for. Definitely a team like the Bears with the statistical makeup to get it done. But we've seen this act before, and I don't know if anyone trusts them to go into Kansas City or go into New England and win a game. There seems to be something institutionally flawed with this team. But if I'm looking just at the numbers, they're a very scary, very dangerous team right now.
I just want to make a correction before I said that Andrew Luck never been in an AFC Championship game. He did make one. It was against the Patriots. They lost.
It was the Deflategate game.
That's right.
I don't know 45-10. The Colts forever embarrass themselves as the most humiliating, embarrassing, weak-kneed organization in the history of sports.
The quality standings. These are teams in the top. There's 4 teams with winning records against other opponents with winning records. Only 4 teams are above 50%. The Chicago Bears, New Orleans Saints, Los Angeles Rams, and the New England Patriots. And basically just really quick, this is one of your quality stats that tells people, hey, these teams are not only good beating up on bad teams, but they're also beating up on the good teams too.
Exactly. And this is probably the surprise stat of this week. Again, the people, I think people in Boston are so spoiled by success. They don't know greatness when they watch it. All you hear on sports radio around here, people, this is why the Patriots suck. This is why they can't win. This is lame. They can't do this. The Patriots are the only team in football undefeated against quality opponents. They're 4-0. Only the Rams have more wins. The Rams are 5-1 against quality opponents. But Patriots are the only undefeated team and also have the greatest scoring differential against quality opponents at plus 7.75 points per game. Undefeated against quality opponents, the greatest scoring differential against quality opponents. The Patriots are forever dangerous. Brady doesn't look the same. Maybe his game's a little off. They're not scoring as many points, but they're still the best big game team in football and have been since 2001.
All right, he is Kerry Byrne from ColdHardFootballFacts.com. We're going to wrap up the inaugural episode of Cold Hard Football Facts right here on the Fancred Show. Listen, gambling's legal where I live. I'm in New Jersey. I can do it right from my phone. It's awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun with more gambling and advice, picks, tips, strategy shows right here on the Fancred app. But again, go to ColdHardFootballFacts.com. If you don't want to pay the $39.95 for the rest of the season, do the free trial. I promise once that free trial runs up, you're going to want to get back into those quality stats and get everything that we do over at ColdHardFootballFacts.com. 7-day free trial, $40 season pass. It's a no-brainer. You win. We're helping you put money in your pockets by betting on NFL games. Kerry, thanks so much. We had a lot of fun today, man.
Bill, great show. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.